Well, hello, Stoughton, and welcome to this edition of Community Forum. I'm your host, Adam Dawkins. We have with us today members of the Stoughton Cultural Council. This is a rare treat for Community Forum. We haven't had the Stoughton Cultural Council on the air before, so it will be a wonderful opportunity for us all to learn more about the work of the council and how the community benefits from all that they do. We have two special guests with us today. We have Adam Hartsock, who is the chair of the Stoughton Cultural Council, and we have Eric Anderson, who is the co-chair of the Stoughton Cultural Council. Gentlemen, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourselves? Adam, why don't you start?
Sure, yeah. So I am the chair of the Cultural Council. I am actually originally from Kentucky. I moved to Stoughton in 2013 and came straight to Stoughton and got involved with the Cultural Council in 2016. So I've been a part of the council for about two years now. I have a bachelor's in musical theater from Liberty University in Virginia. My master's is in arts administration from Boston University. So I became the chair last year and love being a part of the Cultural Council, love bringing cultural activities and programs to the town of Stoughton, making art available to all.
Great. Eric, welcome.
Thank you. Kind of similar, actually. I grew up in South Carolina. Studied music at Indiana University and then moved out to Stoughton with my husband in 2014 and shortly after joined the Cultural Council. I teach piano and voice here in Stoughton. I'm also the organist at the First United Methodist Church. And I hop around and do other various freelance gigs because that's the life of an artist. And also, I really enjoyed being on the Cultural Council. I joined it as a way to get to know what all goes on in the town of Stoughton, and that's what I've been doing. Just got reappointed to my second three-year term.
Congratulations.
And was asked to be co-chair this year after serving as secretary for the last couple. So,
Great,
yeah.
Wonderful. So what is the Stoughton Cultural Council exactly? Some of us may not be familiar with that. So what is the Cultural Council?
Of course. So the Stoughton Cultural Council, we are actually a member of the local Cultural Council program, which is a program within the Mass Cultural Council. There are currently 329 local cultural councils, and they represent all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. So we are strictly the Stoughton Cultural Council, so we represent only Stoughton. We don't represent Easton, Brockton, or Canton. They all have their own separate cultural councils. So each year, a portion of the Mass Cultural Council budget is allocated to the local Cultural Council program, and those funds are then divvied up among all the cultural councils. Once we receive our funding from the Mass Cultural Council, we then receive applications for cultural activities that would take place in Stoughton, and then we allocate that money to various programs that get completed here in our town.
Great, great. So how much money has been allocated to the Stoughton Cultural Council this year, and what is the source of that funding exactly?
So this year, you probably remember in the news there was the whole Senate vote to override the governor's veto of the Mass Cultural Council's budget.
Right.
So once that went through, there was actually an increase to their funding. So this year they have the most funding that they've had in the past allocated for the local Cultural Council program. It's $3.4 million that's going to all 329 councils. We are actually receiving the most amount that we've received, at least in the past 2 years, probably the past 3 years. We're receiving $11,300 from the Mass Cultural Council to allocate to various programs.
Right, and that's all state money then, right? So none of that is actual local money from the town. That's all state money. Okay.
Yeah, we could do fundraising as well to bring in some more money, but that itself is just state money.
Got it. Got it. And how does that compare to other years? Is that more money or less money, or what is that?
Yeah, it's
a good amount more.
It's a good amount more, yeah.
At least 2,000 above what the previous year was, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific.
For a town of this size, it's a very significant difference.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's terrific. So, what are some examples of some events in Stoughton that the Cultural Council has funded in the past?
Yeah, so this past year we actually funded the Stoughton Recreation Department's Movies in the Park series. You might have seen postings about that. You might have hopefully gone to some of those. We also did the Sensation Days at the Fullercraft Museum. We have sponsored the Concerts in the Park with the Lions Club. We also sponsor the Old Stoughton Music Society's concerts every couple of years.
The little theater.
The Little Theater of Stoughton, of course. We give them money each year. And then we also do performances in schools. There was one Sally Ride for the South School this past year. We funded that, so an actress came in and did a historical educational performance for the students at the South School. So it ranges a lot of different projects that we are a part of, that we fund, from children to adults to senior citizens. So it's just, we try to get everybody in there.
And the Cultural Council funded the Unity Project, I believe, this year too, didn't they? So that was a project that happened, I believe, in Faxon Park. Is that right? Yeah. So I believe we have some images of the Unity Project, if I'm not mistaken, to refresh everybody's memory of what that was. So maybe you could walk us through. Eric, I think you were at the Unity Project that day.
Yeah, I was able to. It was actually one of my favorite projects. As you can see, they set up a circle of poles. The whole idea was that each pole represented like a different characteristic, from small things like I like pizza to more serious things like I'm a veteran or I speak multiple languages. And so you'd get your little ball of yarn and you'd start it in the center pole, and then you'd crisscross the whole circle and tie it up to whichever pole, you know, had a characteristic that you identified with. And so as the day went on, you could kind of see where things clustered, where people really had a whole lot of things in common, or which characteristics. Oh, there I am with Sharon Fratkin, also a member of the Cultural Council. You could see where also things, qualities that were a little more unique in our community. It was really fantastic, and not that it was planned this way, but it was shortly after the four Stoughton High School students, of course, lost their lives in that accident, and the Stoughton United messaging that emerged from that. And so even though this was a completely unrelated event, it still kind of had that same energy, which I thought made it even more meaningful. It was really, really fantastic project, and to me, exactly the sort of thing that we want to be supporting.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to note that that project was, while Dee was the one who applied for the funds, the ones who actually did the project, it was the Stoughton Leadership Institute, which is one of the high school groups. So it was high school students who were actually driving the Unity project. So that was something exciting when we were discussing funding. We loved the idea that kids were going to be involved in the project.
Absolutely.
Terrific, terrific. So you told us a little bit about your backgrounds and whatnot, but tell me what really inspired both of you to get involved in the Cultural Council in Stoughton.
Yeah, so when I moved to Stoughton, I didn't really know much about the cultural happenings around town. I saw on the town's website that there was a Stoughton Cultural Council, heard from friends that there was a Stoughton Cultural Council, and I said, well, what is that? So I started looking into it, and I reached out to the chair at the time, Teresa Tapper, and she kind of explained the entire Cultural Council to me, how we fund various projects within our town. At the time, I was about to start my master's program in arts administration, so it kind of all worked together at the same time. So I was excited to be a part of a group that could drive cultural projects and allow for everyone to attend these programs, not just those who have money or those who have the means of getting there, but we are bringing projects to everyone.
Yeah.
I'm, again, kind of the same song, different verse. Moved here from a community that I was very active in, and I got to a point where I don't know how to not be active in the community where I live. It's something that's very important to me. So as soon as I got here and saw in the Penny Saver that there were openings, decided to inquire about it and apply. It seemed like a good way to get to know our new home in a way that related to the work that I do. And so far that's been the case.
Yeah, I think all three of us at this table are actually we're certainly not from Stoughton originally, and
Right.
none of us is really from Massachusetts originally. And also being a native South Carolinian like Eric is, I don't believe there is such a thing as a cultural council in most of the municipalities in South Carolina that I'm
Right.
aware of. I mean, I don't think so. And
Not
what about in
Kentucky.
Kentucky? So this is something that feels sort of unique to where we live, and so it feels like something that's pretty special about Massachusetts and about Stoughton, that we're able to offer this kind of cultural enrichment to our community through such a concerted effort. So
Absolutely.
So it sounds like it really is a great benefit for us here in New England. So another great reason to move to the north. The weather not being one of them. So I believe you all are getting ready to enter into your your application stage for this year. Is that right? So, walk us through what that looks like and so from start to finish, how does somebody apply for funding to the Stoughton Cultural Council?
Yeah, so our applications are actually already open. They opened September 1st of this year.
And that was advertised in the Penny Saver.
Correct, yes,
okay,
it was.
Right.
And applications are being accepted until Monday, October 15th. So if an artist or an organization or someone has an idea for an arts or humanities or science project to take place in Stoughton, there's an online application that you have to fill out. We have a couple of requirements. Priorities that we have as a council. Some of our priorities are that the project, the event, or the artist or organization is based in Stoughton. Since we are the Stoughton Cultural Council, we kind of want to make our focus to be on Stoughton. Also, we ask that a letter of support from a partner or a sponsor be a part of that. So we have, a lot of times we have individuals who are going to do a concert for the Council on Aging. The Council on Aging will do a letter of sponsorship saying we are excited to have this performer come and do this for our people. So those are a couple of things that we do have. We also encourage first-time applicants to apply. And if you are a returning applicant, we do take into consideration your compliance to the guidelines from the prior years that you have received funding. But yeah, so you apply. We then will deliberate mid-October, the end of October, and we'll make decisions for any denials that we might have for things that aren't in Stoughton, don't really meet our priorities. We'll let those people know at that point, and then we will make our final funding decisions around November, and you will be notified if you do receive funding around the beginning of January.
Yeah. And you mentioned priorities and what you're looking for in an application. What would some of those priorities look like? What would be some things you're looking for in a strong application? Something that you think would fairly well ensure some level of funding?
Yeah, so like I said, we look for projects that are in Stoughton specific, the letter of support from the sponsor or the partner, and then the extra consideration as far as the first-time applicants and everything like that. One thing, the Unity Project, when we first received their application, I didn't know anything about it, but as I started reading Dee's application, she went into great detail and really explained the project to us so that we really didn't have many questions. If we had questions, we can reach out to the applicant directly and possibly bring them in to do a presentation or something, but I didn't feel like we needed that with Dee. So in your application, as long as it is clearly stated what you're doing, what exactly you're wanting the funding for, you will more than likely get funded for that.
Yeah.
And we also, I think, tend to lean very much towards projects that are as open to a broad audience as possible. So things like, I think one of the reasons we were so enthusiastic about the movies in the park, for instance, is that it was simply free and open to the public. Whether we discuss it or not, I think we gear ourselves towards projects that have essentially no barrier, so that everyone can, as many people as possible can enjoy them.
Right.
So things that, again, have the broad public availability. Also projects for students, like we said, the Unity Project, but also we try to support PTO programs where we can, like the Sally Ride performance. That factors in as well.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, that sounds like a good place for us to take a quick pause and hear some messages from some of our local sponsors.
Hi, it's Gary LaPierre, and the crew wants to thank Maxie's Delicatessen. That's at 117 Sharon Street in Stoughton. They're 781-341-1662. American Cancer Society. Yes, they're looking for volunteers. Drive cancer patients to and from their treatments. 1-800-ACS-6662. Or just go to www.cancer.org. Ilsa Mark's Food Pantry in St. Anthony's Free Market, 2 Park Avenue in Stoughton. For more information, call Christine Gallagher. That's at 781-341-0611 or 781-341-0549. Meals on Wheels. Just ask for Jessica. You'll find her at 781-344-8882, extension 2. Stoughton Penny Saver. Our business is advertising your business, they tell us. 27 Rose Glen Street, Stoughton, 781-344-4833. Community Forum showtimes in Stoughton. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 6 p.m., Monday at 8 p.m., Tuesday at 5 p.m. It's on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 28. All comments and suggestions welcome. Contact us at communityforum1@yahoo.com. Samaritans, they're at 41 West Street on the 4th floor in Boston, 02111. Their phone number is 617-536-2460. 24-hour helplines for Samaritans, and the number is 877-870-HOPE. That's 877-870-4673. Samaritans, you can find them at 800-252-TEEN. That's 252-8336. Or find them online at SamaritansHope.org.
Here's some information on how to get in touch with the Stoughton Cultural Council. Email culturalcouncil@stoughton-ma.gov. That's culturalcouncil@stoughton-ma.gov. Or you can telephone 857-400-6469. That reaches Adam Hartsock directly. Monday night bingo at Havath Torah Congregation, 1179 Central Street in Stoughton. Who doesn't like to yell bingo? Doors open at 4:30 p.m. Games start at 6:30 p.m. Come on out and support the congregation and win some prizes. Get Fresh is Stoughton's own cooking show. The new episode airing right now. Comcast Channel 9, Verizon Channel 28. Mondays at 5:30 in the afternoon. Wednesdays at 8 in the evening. Thursdays at 9 in the morning. Fridays at 5 in the afternoon. Hometown Business Show, Tuesdays at 11 o'clock in the morning, Wednesdays at 5:30 in the afternoon, Thursdays at 8 p.m., and Sundays at 7 p.m., again on Comcast 9 and Verizon 28. And a new show here on SMAC as We Are United for a Healthy Stoughton. That's Mondays at 5 in the afternoon, Tuesdays at 9 in the morning, Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m., Fridays at 11 in the morning, again on Comcast 9 and Verizon 28. And we're back. So, gentlemen, welcome back. We're delighted to have you with us today to talk about the Stoughton Cultural Council. I understand that you all made a survey available to the public here in Stoughton recently, and I think that's an ongoing process. I think that's something that's still ongoing, but I think you're collecting some initial responses. Any early insight into those surveys you'd like to share with us? I certainly don't want to taint the waters in any way to tell anyone what to say on those surveys, but maybe you can give us a little early feedback on what you're seeing in those surveys about the Cultural Council.
Yeah. As of last night, we had 54 online surveys submitted,
That's great.
Which is a great number in 2 days. One of the more interesting numbers that have come out of it is that 75.5% of the surveys submitted were not aware that artists, schools, organizations could apply for grants from the Stoughton Cultural Council. So if you are watching this show, you can now answer yes to that question. But yeah, that was very interesting. So.
Do you find that there's a general lack of awareness of the Stoughton Cultural Council in general? Is that because I'm sort of amazed by the number of people in town who may not know that this is even a service that the town offers or the state offers.
Yeah, I think a lot of people they see things that are funded by the Cultural Council on Facebook or in the Penny Saver or online or on SMAC, but they don't really realize that it is being funded by the Stoughton Cultural Council. So I don't know. They don't really just realize that, I think. Mm-hmm. So we're there, but you just don't see us. So
yeah,
right. That makes us sound sinister, Adam.
So I know that you said that your application process is open right now. Tell me again what the deadline is of those applications.
For the application submission, it has to be submitted by 11:59 p.m. on Monday, October 15th.
So if you're looking for funding from the Stoughton Cultural Council for a particular project you have in mind, or for a cultural offering, that needs to be in by by midnight, essentially on October the 15th. That's
yes.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
And where does somebody find an application information to begin that process?
Yeah, so it's all done online. If you like us on Facebook, it's the Stoughton Cultural Council. There's a post right now with all of the information about how to apply for that. It's through the Mass Cultural Council's website, but we'll also have some information in the Penny Saver as well for that.
Okay. Now, I would imagine you probably see some organizations who are who send in applications virtually every year, and I imagine those probably receive funding on a regular basis. What might be a reason that an organization might not receive funding for on an ongoing cycle? I mean, if I get it one year, I don't get it the next year. What might be a reason why I wouldn't get it the next year?
Well, there are a couple of things we keep in mind. First, there are just some requirements that are handed down from the state. One requirement is acknowledgement of Cultural Council funding. So we provide a logo. If it's an outdoor event, we've got a giant banner you can hang. So again, in terms of the awareness, to make it clear that the project or event that you're attending is made possible in part by Cultural Council funding. So that's a very strict requirement that has to be followed. And if it's not, then of course we take that into consideration if that organization is going to apply again. Other things like just staying in touch. Telling us when the event's going to happen so that we can help promote it, or if an event needs to change, which is completely allowed, but of course there is an approval process. So if that isn't followed, then of course that's cause for concern. If we see them apply again, we're thinking they're not exactly following the guidelines that we've been given. And then of course, just in terms of our own priorities, you never want any one organization to become dependent on one kind of funding. So if we see the same project year after year, we may decide it might be time for them to, diversify, for lack of a better word. Because obviously we want to support the organizations that are based here, like the Old Music Society, as you said, and the Little Theater, who we do support fairly consistently. But we also want to make sure that resources are being spread out, particularly for individual artists or new organizations that might be popping up, so that we're always getting fresh ideas in the community as well.
Right, and you don't fund any kind of capital projects or anything like
Absolutely
that.
not.
It's all actual cultural events, right? Cultural offerings,
programming. Absolutely.
Yeah. Something you said a moment ago that is that one of the things you ask of folks who receive funding is an acknowledgement that the Stoughton Cultural Council has made a contribution or is supporting this particular event. I mean, that would strike me as sort of gift acceptance or donor stewardship 101, right?
Right.
Is to always acknowledge the person who's giving you the funding. And that also helps to increase awareness about the Cultural Council itself so that other folks might have a shot at understanding or knowing that the Cultural Council is there and knowing that funding might be available for new projects and new ideas and new kinds of cultural offerings. So
Always.
that would seem right to me. What other thoughts do you have for us as we enter into our last couple of minutes here together?
Yeah, I mean, if people are interested in the Cultural Council, we are still looking for members.
Yeah.
Typically, the Board of Selectmen will hold one evening in, I think it was June, was it? Of their meetings, that they will look at all of the possible appointees and appoint people to the Cultural Council. We're working right now with them to see if we can do another evening where we can try to get more members. We currently have 8 Cultural Council members, but we would like to have a couple more in there just so that we can have more people represented. So if people are interested in being a part of the Cultural Council, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Eric at the Cultural Council email address or by phone as well. And then we are, of course, on Facebook, so please find us on there. We're trying to utilize our Facebook a little bit more and start getting all of the events that we do fund on there. So be on the lookout for us to be a little bit more present this upcoming year.
So,
Right.
so members of the Stoughton Cultural Council are appointed by the Board of Selectmen?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
that makes sense. Okay, so good, very good. Anything else you'd like to share with us as we?
Just to echo, I hope, at least one of my personal goals is to continue improving. I feel like we get better each year about putting ourselves out there publicly and making sure that the programs that we support are getting the attention they deserve. And my other hope, as the application window is open, that we continue to get even more diverse projects applying. And again, I think that improves a little bit each year, so that we're able to branch out even more. Because one thing that I have found, at least in the few years that I've lived in Stoughton, is that it is an incredibly diverse community. And I certainly want that to be represented in the projects that we support.
For sure, for sure. Just actually a quick curiosity. What is the average number of applications that you all receive in a given cycle? Just on a, what did you have
we have
last
those
year
stats?
in terms of just a ballpark is fine.
Last year we actually received 28 applications,
Yeah.
and we funded 18.
Okay, so a good portion gets funded. So not so more get funded than not. So that's good to hear. That's good to hear. All right, well, gentlemen, it's thank you so much for your service to the town. Thank you for bringing your gifts and sharing them with the community in this particular way. And thanks for your time today and for telling us all about the Stoughton Cultural Council. It sounds like something that everybody needs to know about for sure, and certainly a really important and unique way that our public money goes directly to enrich our lives culturally here in Stoughton and across the Commonwealth. So. Our special thanks today to the staff here at SMAC, to Michael Hammond, to Jeff Pickett, Leo McGowan, Roy Cohen, David Young, C.J. Mullen, and I'm your host, Adam Dawkins. From all of us here at SMAC, we thank you so much for stopping by. You stay classy, Stoughton. We'll see you later.